Welcome to the PC Mechanic tutorial section. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to use the Windows backup utility in Windows 7. Now to get to the backup utility we need to go into the control panel. So if we click on the control panel, when the control panel applet opens we want to go to the backup and restore utility. Okay, now once this box opens you will notice that we have two headings. We have backup and we have restore. Now if this is the first time you've actually entered this utility, this information here under the backup heading will not be available to you. Instead you will just have Windows backup has not been set up, and instead of a backup now button you will have a button that says set up backup. But I'll go into that in a little more detail later on. If you've ever used any other backup utilities like Windows XP or Windows Vista, you will know that you have two options to performing backups. You can complete full PC backup, or you can backup files and folders. In Windows 7 you still have these two options, however the interface and the names have been changed slightly. So now if I want to create a full system backup I would need to create a system image. So if I click on this link here, it's looking for backup devices. Okay, now you'll notice we have two options here. We can have save our backup on hard drive, or we can save it to one or more DVDs. And it's given us a little instruction here telling us what it's actually going to do, and it's going to create a system image which is a copy of the drives which Windows require to run. Now if you choose to use DVDs for your backups, then you will need to be present during the whole backup procedure, as you will need to change the DVDs as and when required. Now if you're going to use a hard drive, it is recommended that you use an external hard drive for obvious reasons. The whole purpose of doing a backup is so that you can restore your system should you have a hard drive failure or a system failure. Now if you save your backups on the same hard drive as your system files and you do have a hard drive failure, you not only lose your system files but you also lose your backup. Now I've got this set up to use the H drive, which is an external hard drive, which is what I use for all my backups. So I shall leave that highlighted and I shall click on next. Now when we get in here it's asking us what drives we need or we want to back up, and you'll also notice that the C drive and the system reserve partition are automatically highlighted and cannot be deselected because these will always be backed up. I also have a second partition here which is my D drive, which I can also include in my backups. So once you've chosen which drives you want to back up, all you need to do is click on next, and you will get a summary of what is actually going to happen. And it's telling us that the backup is going to be on the H drive. The backup could take up to 107 gigabytes of disk space, and it's also given us a slight warning here that any system images of this machine might be overwritten, and it is telling us which drives are actually going to be backed up. So all you would need to do now is to click the start backup button and it will start backing up your system files. For this tutorial I'm not actually going to run it, so I'm just going to click the cancel button. Now as I said earlier, the second option we have is to back up folders. Now as I said earlier, you will not have this information available to you if this is the first time you've actually entered this utility. What you will need to do is to click on the setup backup to get you to the same place I'm going to go to now, and the way I'm going to get to it is to change the actual settings I've set up. So if I click on this button here, it will take me to the same place as you clicking on that button there. Okay, again it is asking me to select where I would like to save the backups. So I'm going to choose the H drive again and click on next. Okay, now we have two options. I can let Windows choose what to back up, and you notice that this option gives me system images along with a backup of all data files saved in libraries, desktops and default folders. I can also choose a custom backup where I can choose what to include in the backup. And here is one of the biggest differences between Windows Vista and Windows 7. In Windows Vista I could choose file types to back up, but I could not choose specific file locations. In Windows 7 I can now browse the file system and I can choose to select specific folders to include within the backup, or I can include entire drives. You'll notice if I click on that one there, you'll notice by default that user files are already selected, as long as those user data files exist within the default locations. I can also choose whether or not to include system images within my backup, and I can change the backup schedule. But this is the main advantage of Windows 7. If I click on the arrow beside the D drive, I can now actually select specific files and folders within my PC system. Then all I would need to do is deselect those again, and for this particular tutorial I'm just going to leave these ones highlighted here, and I'm going to click on next. But once you've chosen which files you actually want to back up, just click on next, and again we will get a review of what the backup is actually going to do. And it's going to telling us here that it's going to be backed up to the H drive, and it is showing us which actual files are going to be backed up. And it's going to say here a system repair disk might be required to restore a system image. Any existing system images for the machine might be overwritten, which is the same one we got before. Once I actually save the settings and exit, then you will get the same thing that I've got here. You should now have the same interface that I have here. Now I can actually turn on the schedule, or I can change the settings anytime I wish. All I need to do now is to actually run the backup with the settings I have just created, is to press the backup now button. Now for this tutorial I'm not going to do that because it could take several minutes. But that is all you need to do to run the backup utility in Windows 7. Thank you for watching this tutorial, and I will see you in the next one.